Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot and to another episode of our typical Thursday live stream. And every Thursday we do a full live stream, full hour covering altcoins, covering general markets, whichever assets that you want. So if you are interested on me doing TA of any of your choices of symbols, make sure that you write them in the comments. The first one that appears in the comments is the first one I'm gonna pick right after I complete the choices from my elite community. Today from my elite community, I have 5 assets that I'm gonna cover. One of them is a stock and 4 other are altcoins. After I'm done with that, I go straight back into the chat. So make sure that you keep the chat busy, and during the second half of the video, whichever is the last comment is always what I'm gonna pick. That keeps the chat busy and attracts a lot more viewers. That helps with the algorithm, and it definitely helps the channel. And you can tell I slept only 3 hours yesterday because I'm being a little bit stuttering. But anyways, let's go with the first asset, which is NVO. It's gonna be a stock. And let's have a look in here at the weekly time frame. This is Novo Nordisk AS sponsor ADR class B. Interesting chart. I think I did this last week and we recognized that it had a channel to the upside on the wiki. On the weekly, it had a rejection from the top of the channel. Well, that's pretty much what it has been happening on the 9th of December 18, and then on the 2nd of June, this is on 2025, and now more recently, just pretty much mid-January, just a couple of weeks ago, and that is landing back at support. The support is at 38.61. Interestingly, price action is already finding that support at 47, so which that indicates that price might break below this level, and then the RSI will find support. So 2 takeaways from that. It means that basically price needs to break the support for the RSI to test support. And it's like price is preceding the momentum, and I don't like that. I like that the RSI acts as leading indicator. So if I was to go short in here, I will prefer that the RSI breaks first and then the price, not the other way around, because that calls for less probabilities of breaking the support. So in a way, that indicates that we have a better chance of holding support rather than breaking it. Of course, this is just statistics. So what is the difference? Well, maybe between saying we are 50-50, now we are 55-60 versus 40-45. It's not a huge additional edge, but it's something that you can take. Notice that we are trading in the most traded range in here, and that ends right at 47. If we lose that 47, what is the danger? The danger is, what if this channel is done and we are now due for a lower low? Let's say we're going to 24. Well, that means that we might find ourselves trading back in the previous range of 33, which we stayed there from 2020 until April 2021. It was a fair amount of time that we spent there creating that range. But actually the full point of control, let me see the full asset just to get the full calculation. Yeah, definitely this started at $180, so we have to ignore that. I'm just gonna take from this low in 2016. Let's see where is the point of control of that. It's 25. Yeah, because basically this is a bearish pattern, right? You have a trading range in here, an impulsive wave, and then back to the same range. So there's always that risk of losing that. So I think the $1 million question, apart from are we going to lose that level, is where are we going to land, more importantly, if we break it. And I think it's somewhere between the 30s and the 25, somewhere around that area there, because at that point, then we are going to find strong support from previous cycle. Now, assume that we we reclaim, if we reclaim this 47 and we hold that 38, we could be due for another wave up. If we go for another wave up, let's say we do it around here at the 63, that is gonna bring in some upside, obviously. Let's see where that is in the price. It's gonna be roughly at the $77 if we do another wave up, if we survive basically that level. Let's move on now to the next coin, which is gonna be Ethereum. And notice I'm saying coin because we got 4 coins that were chosen by elite members. Right after that, I'm gonna start taking your request, guys. So keep the chat busy because today I'm gonna just pick always the latest comment. So make sure that yours is the latest comment if you want yours reviewed. Let's go with Ethereum on the weekly time frame. I noticed earlier that we lost some important levels, and I guess everybody wants to know if I'm doing what I said I was gonna do. Remember, I bought at 3.8, a small position, and I say I'm gonna wait a big range down if that entry is bad to average down. And I specifically referred to $2,000. So now we are at $2,086. Let's see how it looks. So similar to Bitcoin, we have here a breakout that failed. So now we need a layer 2. Let me focus. Yeah, let's focus first on RSI and then on what's going on with the price. So definitely this did not play out. So we need now to move on to layer 2. That is the strategy. Notice we took this low of 39. We are at 32. The last time we were at 31 and something was April 2025, and that's when we began this move into 74 that brought the price, the highest price we've been in this cycle. So definitely that is a level of significance. What other level of significance we have in here? We have that 27, and that was the bottom on Ethereum for the momentum and for the price, because there was no bullish divergence, interestingly. I think on Bitcoin there was a bullish divergence in June 2022 against the price of October. But in this case, you can see that both momentum go up and price go up from there and never comes back down into $800. So we got that cushion somewhere between 27 and 30, and previous cycle we found bottom at 27. So let's do this, because I guess everybody wants to know bottom more than whether I'm gonna buy 2,000 or not. So we got that bottom is around the 24.19. On Bitcoin is I think 24.48 if we do the same projection. This is 24.19. Let's put that in the chart too. 24.19. And let's also put the previous, right, I think that's it. No, I'm gonna just leave the 24.19, and that is at a price of $980. So I guess since I have a small position at 3.8, then at 2,000 or somewhere in here, I'm gonna be looking in the video where I could be specifically buying. Since now it's kind of a free fall, I need to think where is support coming in and what else we have in the liquidity, and then we see how we can approach this. Definitely the sub 1,000 is a fire sale, but I don't know if we're gonna get I don't think we are gonna get in a straight line in that direction. I think there will be some, even a fake out in here, a breakout into 40 something, and then a move down into 22. Also in price action, we need to move this line like that. So we're going to have a level of importance, relevance at 1.7. Longs versus shorts, what's going on in here? Well, some longs enter aggressively, but also left aggressively back into 31. We started from 27, move into 43, back to 30. So that is a divergence because we have price coming down and the longs are still sticking in here. Of course, this is in development, so it could mean that price still goes lower and takes them all out, but so far it's a divergence. Let's go into liquidation levels, and I have Ethereum already here. Another consideration to take. The 2000 is the liquidation that we're hitting. That is equivalent to have hit 74 on Bitcoin, which we already did. But on Bitcoin, we have gone beyond that. We went into 70, very close to getting closer or halfway through to 67, which is the next level. In Ethereum, you could say the 74 equivalent level is the 2000, and we're already in process of taking it all. Very quickly, if we go into 2000, gone. Then we have this compromise level of 1774, which I will compare to the 67 on Bitcoin. So another consideration, Bitcoin already complete the bear flag target, which was $70,000. But Ethereum target is 1831, which is also dangerously close to 1768. So could it be that Ethereum is going to actually go also slightly below? Bitcoin went to the target at 70, but it actually pinched there. I don't know where is it now, but well, anyways. And it's also below the global support. Ethereum is also below global support. So we are in a fire sale. So I will say personally that if I was planning to buy 100, not 100 Ethereum, I'm just giving you a abstract number. If I was to use 100% of my allocation to buy $2,000, that was the initial idea. What I'm seeing in here of, what are we taking? The June low of 22nd. Ooh, that's an interesting point. What is this? This is November. And this is April. So Bitcoin took the April. Ethereum hasn't. And that is 1437. What extra liquidations we have? We have 1.2. And 1.2 is the April low. Ooh, that's another one to consider. That makes it more interesting. So I think I need to spread out my orders. And second order definitely could be around or a little bit below $2,000. And the third could be below the April low of 1.2. And that is considering already the fact that we might go into $900 at some point based on past performance on the weekly time frame. That is the way I could be accumulating Ethereum this bear market. Obviously, the deeper we go, the larger the position to make sure that I push lower my average. As I say, the 3.8 was a very small position anyways. Right. I got all your questions in here. I can see that the chat, there's some movement. We got some requests for BNB, Google. I covered Google already, and I cover it in Crystal Gains, my new channel. I can give a quick look anyways. Good afternoon, Mariano from New York. The time has come. RSI never lies. Let's go. Parrot, I only follow you and Ben Cowan. Who is Ben? I never heard about him. Since picked up in apathy this year. That sounds like Ben. You can tell I watch him. I don't watch every video, but every now and then I watch one. It's kind of a rule I have to not watch other analysts because it really messes up with my own thinking, and I hate when I'm right and I end up choosing something that someone else say. I'm so obsessed that I just want to stick to my own ideas. Anyways, but he's good. He actually complements the things that I do. You know, I don't focus that much on the fundamental. He does amazing ratios charts. Anyways, it's fantastic. Right. So let's go with Hype. That's the next one from my community. We're at 2073 on Ethereum. Hype USDT. Okay, so Hype broke out. When did we do the last video? I think there was a target in here from this head and shoulder on the weekly into $12. What has happened so far is that this support 22 held and it went back into the neckline and it grabbed liquidity there. So it took out all the shorts but now it's being held even below that neckline. It's being held by 31. We have very little number of longs, and this should cool down. I think this leg up should cool down. We are at 49, and we should expect a move down, possibly to 28 or 22. Are we gonna get the full target of 12 right now? So there's a lot of people trading in Hyperliquid, and that I think is a coin that I was thinking yesterday that I'm gonna start accumulating, because of the amount of people that are moving into decentralized exchanges. I think it's gonna be a good one to hold, and I don't have any Hyperliquid at the moment, so I think I'm gonna start accumulating from 22 into the 10s, that level. But there is a chance still for continuation, just because we have this breakout, but we've been already 1-2 weeks up, and I think there should be a little bit of a pullback in here, and that pullback might cool down things. I think in the bottom of the bear market we should be visiting some lower levels though, I think. Let me see liquidation levels on Hype. Someone is asking global support on RSI on BTC points too. I also love Ben ratios charts, but you didn't give your opinion in what I asked. Diego asked, since we top in apathy 0% also of getting the 40. Yeah, that's a very difficult one, because I have two theories, and unfortunately, you might think I'm a coward for not saying I'm committed to the theory that we are going to do a shallow bear market. I think there is as much of a chance at the moment of doing a shallow bear market, because many indicators that trigger when we get into the bottom of the bear market are approaching fastly, dangerously into place. And once they trigger, we're going to be right there at the same technicals of previous bear market. And that is a very shallow bottom in terms of price. Momentum and all of the other things are already as cool as, June or October in 2022. Not yet, but very close. So there is also the secondary theory, which is we didn't go as high, and we can interpret that as weakness. And we could say, yeah, we didn't go into extreme levels of greed. We are not going to get into extreme levels of fear. Fair enough. That's one alternative. But another alternative is that this logarithmic curve of Bitcoin, that's a big thing that no one is expecting. Like going, I don't know, to $5,000. I mean, hypothetically speaking, we are traders. We cannot fear any target or any number. We cannot be saying the number. No, that number is forbidden. Bitcoin will never go there. Don't mention that number, otherwise I get upset. We are not emotional creatures. We need to be logic ones and focus on the two theories. And the first theory is we get a shallow one. We respect what we did to the upside, and Bitcoin is fine. But what if the miners have a huge hiccup, MicroStrategy has a huge hiccup, and in general we get a 5-year recession? How do you see Bitcoin dealing with that? With a 5-year recession that has never happened to Bitcoin? You think Bitcoin is going to say, I don't care, I'm going to stay here at the 80,000? No, I don't think so. I think Bitcoin has not gone through an actual recession. COVID was just saved by the amount of cash that went in. But if that cash is not there and you're full on recession, who knows? And in that case, we can actually go for that theory too, which is break the levels that have held in the past of RSI. The one against gold, already we tested it. We are right there at that line. The one against USD, is approaching quickly. So we need to be careful. Anyways, hype, liquidation levels, we got that 20. Okay, so that's the beginning of this rally, and we went already for 37. We chased all those longs. There is some possibility to get into 42. If we get into 42, that is basically above this level, the 38 that we just hit. I don't think there's enough motivation to go to 42 straight away without the pullback. I subscribe to the idea of hype going sideways a little bit in here, cooling down before getting into 42. But who knows? I'm going to move now to Bittensor. That's the next request from my elite members. If you want to become an elite member, the link is in the description. That's how you get fast track to get all your assets and you can secure them. I got 2 to go, Bittensor, and then we're gonna go with privacy coin number 1. Okay, Bittensor, we had this broadening pattern that has not been respected, so that's broken. So I'm gonna focus on this now. Since we have a pivot there, I'm gonna take advantage of that and say we are putting a low. In here, we are finding the next level of support at 161, previous support that has held twice. Longs continue to capitulate in this area. We're at the lows of longs. At 39, we started a mini rally of 40%. If we get back into those levels, or if we put a new low, that might be another opportunity. But we should be monitoring how we break out from this weekly time frame. On the liquidation levels, TAO, let's see how we are in the past 3 months. Crypto cooked. The ticking bomb is Michael in strategy. 35 is also possible. So let's not get confused, guys. So in the bear market, there's usually a large leg down of Bitcoin. In the past cycle, it was like 60%. Right, from 48 it went down into whatever 30 or 20, and that was extremely impressive, almost without giving any headroom of upside within that. That's called the acceleration into bear market. If that enters now, we can go straight into 40s, just to give some proportions. If we had a leg like that, once you hit that leg, then there is some relief. That can be a 20-30% up or more. And I'm focusing on that relief when it happens, and that's how I'm placing my DCA orders. That relief is not the end of the bear market. You can still go lower into, like last cycle, we went into 15 after that. But as long as you are defending that winning position with your average down, you can get out and then back in and again in profit and remain with a big win ratio. All right. So liquidations on TAO are showing that we have mostly to the upside. We have at 246 and another one at 340. And that's just in the past 3 months. There's been a lot of shortening here. And the amount of longs is also showing that. So 250 is this level in here. 340 is around here. So I think this is a good area to accumulate, because you could accumulate here, and if it fails and it goes, I don't know, to $100, which is, we haven't been there, then you accumulate more at that level, expecting a push back into the 240 or the 340 liquidation levels. That as a trade, right? So you don't put all your bullets on this entry right at that support and that's it, because it might break. If you are going to do DCA, of course. If you don't want to do DCA, well, stop loss it if that's your preference. Next coin is XMR. Oh, let me think. I gave you levels. Yeah, okay. So the 340 is also important because of the volume profiling here. Do I need to say something else? No, I think that's it. XMR. If you have further questions about a specific coin, you can always ask me more. And look at XMR. I smell opportunity in here. So there is these levels of resistance that we test in November. Where was this? December, that's February 2025. And in April, it started running. In April, at the lows of Bitcoin, XMR started rallying, right? So we keep that thesis that XMR, during the profit taken on Bitcoin, it tends to pump because some people want to sneak out their profits of exchanges using privacy. And that helped them, the XMR, to pump all the way to 420. So this one is coming back down now. It broke down, it faked out. Oh, that's really difficult to trade, that one. On XMR, I also want to have a bag of XMR, but let's see the levels, the important levels for accumulation. So we got an initial one at 320 that, in my opinion, is attractive. Then the 220, if we really get there, there must be a massive liquidation because the last rally started from 220. So there has to be there a huge liquidation that we're not sure we're going to find on CoinGlass. Oh, maybe we have it in here, yeah. On Trading Different. Monero. All right, ooh, that got liquidated on the 1st of February. What do we have below? Right, biggest liquidation level is at 308, 226, and 98. And let's do it on the daily, it's better. So the rally starting at 223 is extremely important. Let's remove that. So as I say, the $300 is attractive, mildly, for accumulation. If we get lucky to get into the 220 and get liquidated all these longs, that's another area. If the market is really a disaster and we go into the $100, that's a very interesting one to accumulate. On the daily, let's see what we need to be looking into. I think now we have something tradable on the daily. So this is just noise. I think we are testing for a second time that pivot. So we can monitor this on the daily and let's see if that eventually breaks out. Obviously now it's pointing down, but eventually it's already getting close to get below the 30s. And possibly it's going to use the 300 to liquidate those before breaking out. Gosh, doing TA with 3 hours of sleep is definitely a challenge. And it wasn't my choice. I didn't sleep, but that's nothing to do with the price action. I don't care about the price action. It was just my daughter that was waking up all night. And it was my turn. So I had to sleep 1 hour, go to the room, sleep 1 hour, go to the room. So I think if I had a bottle of tequila, I will be able to do better TA. But when you don't sleep, it's just really difficult. Anyways, hit the like because I'm still here. XMR, done. Liquidity, levels, attractive levels to the upside. If we were to go up on the 3 months, let's do that too. On the 3 months, it's always important to look at the liquidity in 2 different time frames. This is saturated, so let's remove it. Oh, that was a big liquidation already on the last 3 months. But I'm sure at 300 there's more. This is just not capturing because it doesn't go that back in time. So believe me, 300 big, 220 massive, and 91 the largest. To the upside, there's plenty of levels to liquidate. The biggest one at the moment is 112. So for some odd reason, XMR now started going up massively, which it requires Bitcoin to be in profit. So look at the timing of things. You know, if Bitcoin now did a rally of 40%, a revenge rally, and XMR is still going down, and you start seeing XMR pumping during the Bitcoin rally, run through the fields, because that is high likely people closing positions, extracting it into XMR for the privacy reasons before the price corrects. So always keep notifications of XMR moving up, because if it's doing that together with Bitcoin, it might be the end of the move up of Bitcoin. Yeah, that's an alpha. Let's go to the next one. So now I'm going to start taking your requests. We are 55 people live. We are getting close to the bottom of the bear market. Next one. So because what is the latest coin? Guys, you need to write down which coins you want me to do. And this is a long question. Parrot, can you do brainstorming with me? I have some doubts while analyzing the Sol USD and Sol BTC chart due to Sol unlocks. Because Sol BTC should still go to the support level of plus minus 500 sats. But doesn't the unlock of the earlier VCs affect that only affects the USD chart? Not a huge new all-time high this year, only MC increase. Gosh, you're going to have to forgive me. I do not understand the question. Or maybe I'm not that familiar with the unlocks or what is the expected effect of them. I can look at the charts, but I won't have any clue where are the unlocks expected or what's the expected effect. Obviously, unlocks means that there's more liquidity in the market and that can get dumped into the market, and it is bearish if it's coming in, depending on the size. So latest, let's do Aave. Whoever requested that coin, you got lucky. Aave. Or you have very bad luck if my calls are going to be bad, of course. Okay, Aave had this breakout in April 2025. April 2025, Bitcoin was putting lows. Aave is putting lows together with Bitcoin in here. And it's at similar levels, but putting a lower low relative to that, similar to Bitcoin. It's going to find levels of a volume that are important at $80 if it goes there. It's at extreme oversold levels of RSI of 30, which has never happened for this coin. In the bear market in June, RSI bottom at 33, and now we are at 30.77. So what I would like to track in here is one out of two, either that layer 2 breakout or, you know, tracking this, which already failed, I can see there. So it failed here, failed there, failed there. Each failure put a new low, a lower low. And it's, you know, forming a really ugly pattern, a double top. Many coins are doing the same. And it's threatening to go back to this point of control, to trade at the point of control of the bear market, pretty much, to go to trade to $85 and stay there for the bear market. That's kind of what it's calling for. If you want to smell if there's any potential for upside, you need to be looking at breakouts from this line. But again, it failed twice in a row right there, and it failed the layer 1 from here. So it's bears in control at the moment. So breakouts are being sold off very quickly, as you can see. That's the modus operandi. But eventually it's going to slow down in that sense. Let me see if I got liquidity in here. That's great. We do have. That's on Binance. What am I going to do if Binance goes bankrupt? I mean, I need my liquidation levels from Binance. I don't touch Binance anymore, but pretty much all my charts and indicators are based on Binance. If it goes down, I'm going to have to do everything again. Well, pretty much all crypto industry is going to have to reset. Right, on the daily, it looks like that. RSI on the daily is at the lows. Yeah, 28 is the lowest levels of RSI on the daily on Aave. And what do we have? The October 12th liquidation level went into 79. We have not reached that level. And leftovers from before that are located at 65. Let's leave that out of the way. To the upside, we have levels at 187 and 211. Those are low-hanging fruits to entertain ourselves if we had a bear market rally. But failure to go there, well, we're going to find ourselves somewhere in the 80s to 60s trading range, most likely at the bottom of bear market. Those are areas for accumulation. I sold my Aave at the highs. I don't have any more Aave, luckily. I tend to repeat a lot which coins I still hold, but what I don't say that much, and I should, give myself a lot more credit for that, is the amount of coins that I sold at the highs, including Solana, Ethereum, XRP, not at the very high with XRP, but many of them, a long list of them that I distribute pretty nicely. And I got done with all my job around December, and I left 3 in the pocket, including Cardano and a couple more. This one sold it nicely. Right. So Aave is done. Let's go with the next one. Gold. Right, but the latest one is, please analyze the macro waves of BTC, which involves in the cycle. So I cannot do that in-depth analysis on BTC because people are going to fall asleep. I also did that already in the main video. I'm asking you guys if you can pick assets, a coin, gold. Let's do gold. Let's do gold. And let me see if I can do it in my stock chart. Prefer to do it in here. Yeah, so gold is in the middle of most likely is a dead cat bounce, but we are gonna know if probably if we go back below the Fibonacci retracement, the 0.5. So I would like a close below 4744. Because, we bounced off the golden pocket, we went up, and after that, we are supposed to defend these levels and then continue into a new high. But if you go back into the golden pocket and you put a new low below 4.7, then you are risking to lose the 4.5, and that means that we are starting to enter into bear market territory. At the moment, I think gold has done something huge. But if you look at the Bollinger Band on the monthly, you can see that we are still stuck against the top band, okay? So bear market, well, we need to at least take out the 3.5 to say, well, that's a bear market. The last time we've been in that median was in September in 2023. So it's been a few years already that we don't test that. And if you are in a bear market, you stick to that line a lot longer. Like, for example, in here, you catch up with the middle line, then you turn it into resistance, and throughout the bear market, gold is below that blue line. And look how far we are, right? These are now weekly candles. It's at 3.5. And if you say 3.5, people will probably, punch you in the face if you say we're going to 3.5. Well, eventually we need to catch up with the median. That's what the price does. It's supposed to be like that. And this is a first indication of that. And I think, the rejection of the dead cat bounce confirming here, if we come back down and take the lows, that's confirmed. That is a strong signal that we are going back to at least hit the median. And don't forget that there is also the lower level of the band, 2.1. There is that level, and sometimes we visit it, right? In the bear market, for example, in here, we've been below that level. Now it's trading at 2.1K. And at that point, you're not that discussed about the 3.5. And the 3.5 sounds great when you're thinking that you could go to 2.1 eventually. These lines are moving, right? So it might take a long time, might take 1 more year. There might be another kick to the upside. You might go into the liquidity. at the top end. Let's see where that is on gold. On trading different. So the lower levels are at 2.3, huge amount there, and that is the lower band. 3.5 is, there's a liquidation level at 3.2. There is one huge at $4,000. Let's take these reds out of the way. So the biggest is 2.6 and 2.3, followed by 3,000, 3.2, and the closest one that is still significant is $4,000, which, yeah, $4,000 will be a little bit of a nightmare, psychologically speaking, to a lot of traders. There are some levels on the upper end, but as you can see, these ones were the ones that we were tracking as large liquidations from shorts. At the moment, there is not a lot in here, so it's not really that much attractive to go into 5-6 from the point of view of taking out shorts. That means that if price really was now due for a larger correction, they're not letting a lot of people win there from the point of view of those shorts. There's not a lot of shorts to take out of the way before we go down, in other words. Right. I hope you were able to see that. I think you did, because I have to change monitor. What is the next coin? That's the biggest question. And SPX 6900. Oh, thanks for the 2.5. I'm gonna get myself a coffee with that. A beer is not enough. I need 5 to 7 pounds in the UK to drink a beer, which is crazy. That was half of my first salary that I'm spending in one beer. SPX 6900. Let's go into that. I'm gonna do it. Let's search for it in crypto SPX because it's gonna be easier to find a larger cap one. We could do it on Binance Perpetuals. Yeah, let's do it there. Right. What's going on in here? So it's been a sell-off. There's been already a dead cat bounce, and we are taking the lows of March, April 2025, just like Bitcoin. That was supposed to act as support. There is some resistance now at 64. There is resistance at $1. And we have the least number of longs ever. We are at 30% longs, and we reach a top of 70% longs. What do we need to track in here for some strength? Well, basically, there is, in our convenience, this trend line in there. And the RSI, if we use that pivot, we already broke out. And we put a new low. So that layer 1 didn't follow through. We got a layer 2 in here, like that. And we have that all-time low of 25 cents that is still being respected. I think going slightly lower to liquidate that happened on the 10th of March will be, a decent area for accumulation or for some sort of bounce. We are in a traded area at 30 cents. Big resistance at 50 cents because that's probably the point of control of the full trading range in the whole history. And let's see if we can find this coin in here. I guess it's SPX. I hope it is. Let me see if it looks similar. We are trading at 30 cents. Yeah, that's correct. Cool. Ooh, wow. There's a big liquidation at 75 that the bulls didn't manage to take before that collapse. So I will say there is a chance. Is there a chance that we can go into 75 during the bear market? Let's see. 75 is around here. So they enter around here. And I think there is a chance. There is a chance that we can go into 75. And that is important because assuming that you're trading SPX, which is not a big asset, obviously, with money that you can afford to lose, the play to get back on profit is to look for a new low in here, enter, and then wait for some relief on Ethereum or BTC during the bear market and expect a move into punishing the 75 cents shorts that are still there. That is kind of the play. So if you average down enough so that your average is below 75, by the time you get into 75, you are back in profit. It's a very risky, dangerous game that has some chances of not playing out, not getting as high as that, or not having relief in a long time, or I don't know any fundamentals about this coin. There's nothing in my mind telling me at the moment that this might not go to zero, because I don't know anything about it. Technicals, yeah, it's forming a low in here relative to that. It might defend it, it might not. There is definitely liquidity slightly below, and that is going to give you an advantage for upside. Right, US 10-year yields. US 10-year yield. Let's do that. And not on crypto. Let's do it. Let's do a bit of bonds. Right, I'm not Benjamin Cowan, okay? So do not have expectations that I know the full history of the bonds or anything like that. I'm actually not actively trading bonds, so keep that grain of salt somewhere when I do any analysis here. So this has been in a massive downtrend from 81, and it definitely broke out, go one level up. On the monthly, after this capitulation in here, on the RSI, at the peak volatility on the monthly, it has had a rally that put a new high. And the momentum is cooling down, the volatility is cooling down, but it's defending that level of the 4%, which is bullish for another wave up, I will say. Again, this is a trading thesis. It might fail. So you should not think, yeah, he probably is right, I'm going to bet on that, and then come back and say, oh, you were wrong. No, because I don't know what's going to happen. The most likely scenario in here, this is showing strength. So if you want to trade strength, trade that this is going to continue another leg up, similar to this one, from somewhere around here. If it puts a low at 3.6, you get some sort of falling wedge bullish, that could be a good entry. Or if you just want to trade the middle of the range and expect a breakout and then be risk-free at that point and see if it actually can take the resistance of 5.1, and then that could rally into A6 according to this. Why? Because momentum is coming down, putting up double bottom there, and the price, well, the percentage remains around there. So that looks bullish for the bonds. Invalidation, of course, take the 3.6. Actually, invalidation, I will say below 3.3. Let me zoom in so you can understand what I'm talking about. So there is this high there that has been already tested. If you come back into 3.3 and you take down that level, it means full weakness for the bonds and, you know, most likely needing to be out of the trade or DCA, depending on what's your strategy. Right. Next one is going to be, oh, didn't know there was a stream on, just started the new video. Have you done Solana? No. Did I do Solana? I don't remember. Did I do Solana? Oh my God. Have you ever been not sleeping when you don't sleep? It's because I understand. Elite members were adding more coins in here, which were not there when I started the live stream. But now that I'm looking into that, I got Solana that I need to cover. I need to cover CRV, and those are the two new ones. But let's do Solana. Solana has a target from last week, and it was a bearish target. The target of the bear pattern, which is pretty low, 4.6, but I don't think we're gonna get there. But after we did the liquidity hunt, came back to the same level and lost it, we are at risk of going and meeting with the green line in here, which is in the middle of the way at 66. And this is accelerating. It took already the low of 94. That's the low of April. Taking the low of April, just like Bitcoin, calls for a new lower level to defend. And on Solana, that is probably around 66. Let me see. RSI is getting as close at the bottoming in November 2022. That was at 29 RSI. At the moment, we are at 30. So we're less than 1 point away from being at the lower RSI of the FTX collapse. And at that point, we were trading at $20, if I remember right. What was the price? Of 10. Yeah, I think I bought at 20 and then I distributed to 70 something. That was a good rally. Solana, in terms of socials, is having now a little bit of a drop in attention, similar to what it did here. It held at the 6, 7, and then it went down into 1%. In here, it was holding at 10, and it went down into 5. So it has slashed the social dominance by half just by moving this way down. And that is bullish. So we should be looking in here for an entry on Solana. Since I don't have Solana, I might start accumulating at 60 and then defend halfway through down if we don't really go that low. Liquidation levels on Solana. There's still 10 more minutes, guys, so feel free to leave in the comments more requests. What do we have in here? Well, the fake out after layer 2 breakout. That breakout was pretty nice. It went into previous support, into 125, but then it massively puked in here. And we are about to take massive levels of liquidity in here into 86. I'm very tempted to dip my toe there with a small position at 86, just because, you know, it's such a large liquidation level that we are capitulating. So I think around the $85 could be a great idea. It's also because look at how discounted we are, not just on the weekly, but on the daily. Count how many times we are at 23 on Solana on the daily. It's rare, right? It could go lower, but if you DCA at 23 RSI and then you DCA at a lower level, or if you get a bullish divergence with a lower price but higher RSI, it might give some relief in here before we hit the volume area of the what is it called, the 60s or 50s that is around here at that trend line. So halfway an order at 85, I think I say, and then another order lower at the 60, I would say. Of course, if that breaks and we go back into trading range of $20, well, be prepared for that, because no one knows what's going to happen if we get a recession or something. So do not, deploy everything betting on do not bet against no recession, I will say, but still have exposure at critical levels. That's currently wrapping it up, my strategy in the bear market. Can you do XRP, please? Yeah, let's do XRP. But let's start with the weekly. Right, so we broke down the bull support band of XRP weekly RSI. I don't know what was this target. I don't remember why I put this target so low. But the lowest level on the weekly has been 28, and now we are at 30. So again, XRP is approaching extreme levels of oversold, and that could be an opportunity because it's just so dramatic, the move. Despite the fact that on the technicals in here, you have this double top. Let's get rid of all these bullish targets. It's just noise at the moment. Let's get rid of this and that level that didn't hold. Yeah, so the technical target of this double top is 16 cents. But I'm giving the benefit of the doubt that those are not going to play out. And I'm just focusing on critical levels. So we have at the moment coming in at 133. That is a level that could hold. If that doesn't hold, there might be some acceleration to the downside into sub $1 in the bear market. And, you know, if you're a fan of XRP, you probably want to slap me, but XRP has done that so many times already. The good thing about XRP is that it's extremely hysterical with the moves down, but also with the moves up. So you can get a massive flash like what we are having here. This is already 63 now, but if you consider October on Binance, that's 65. And you can have those moves. This is a 73, but then the dead cat bounce is 169 up. So averaging at extreme levels of technicals shows that most of the time on XRP has been a decent idea, and not the way I was trading in 2020 XRP, because I trade with FOMO in end of 2020, and that's why I ended up holding this crap for so long. And I didn't sell at the top of the previous cycle. That's why when we were around here, I was pretty much making a party. When I sold at this highs, it was really great. But 4 years holding this crap, I ended up developing a hate for it. That's why there are levels very interesting in here, but I'm not going to touch XRP again. If you want to take those trades, 1-3, it's a very significant level, which you could dip your toe, but then keep in mind a potential for sub 1. Not straight from here, because we are at extreme levels of oversold. So I think we need really the Nasdaq 20% down to force XRP into sub 1. But if Nasdaq doesn't do that, a 20 to 10% drop, then that level is going to bounce aggressively up, and you're going to miss some upside there. So have some exposure, but not all of it, definitely. Done with XRP, and I'm missing, liquidations. XRP, then I need to do CRV from my elite member. That just was requested there. Right, so the pattern is definitely puking in here. Coming in, we are concluding the liquidation of 1.3. If we go slightly below from 136 into 1.3, we will have completed that full. After that, we have $1, definitely. And largest one, which one is the largest one? I think the 1.3 is the largest one, followed by 35 cents. That is the beginning of this full bull cycle. On the upper end, there is a lot of liquidity, which makes a big case for, you know, that revenge rally. Let's say you get 120 revenge rally into 2.7 for some reason. That is already 117 entering from around 1.3. If it happens from $1, 120 takes you back into 2.29. So, you know, modus operandi of XRP, yeah, hysterical on both sides. So be prepared for that. Next one is, so EUL. Is this crypto or is it a stock? Or can you provide more information, Mr. Fab Penguin? I think it's called Fat Penguin. Funny name. In the meantime, no, I'm going to wait. You're going to write? No? Okay. 1, 2, crypto. Okay. Let's go with EUL. I never heard about this one. What? No, I cannot do TA of this. I have no idea what it is, and there's no levels to do any analysis. You know, this was pretty much a dump, listed and dumped. Is it gonna recover? I don't know. I don't know what it is. At the moment, it's traded at $1, and longs literally went from all in to no one. I don't know if it's gonna recover from that. Let's see if it's listed here. If there's any chance of a small bounce. Ooh, no. No one is trading this. There was a liquidation there and it's already gone. Someone was betting that 175 was going to hold and then got wrecked. Now it's trading at $1. Literally, it's impossible really to get out of this thing. And I'm not telling you to sell. I'm not telling you to sell because no one really knows from this information I have in the screen if there's going to be a recovery. It's very low likely, but it's possible. Some of these things, 1 in a million of them, suddenly recover from one and they go to $100. Is it going to happen to this one? I don't know. No idea. Maple. So I guess that is a commodity. Maple. I need more information, guys. I cannot be looking for the asset. Maple syrup. If it's crypto, it's gonna be this one. Okay, let's do this one. Again, I cannot trade this one. There's not enough information in the chart. I'm gonna go with SUI before I lose everybody in the live. And let's go with this. Oh, I was on the monthly. I'm so stupid. Well, anyways. Let's go with SUI. At SUI, I'm gonna do it in this chart. USDT. Right, so the bull market support band on the RSI got lost again. There was a liquidity hunt in here. That was our opportunity to get back into resistance at 47, but it did not play out. It only managed to fulfill this double bottom technical target into 2-1. That's it. Then puke back into a lower range. Yeah. Next level of support coming in at 90 cents. That was the resistance of the accumulation of a trading range between 53 and 89. We'll see if we can hold that level. Revenge rally? No, I don't think so. Let's go into liquidation levels. So in the previous live, we were talking about this support, that if it breaks, it could go into these liquidity levels. We are now in progress consuming those exactly. That is the level of the $1, sharply declining the liquidation levels at 90 cents, and then almost nothing at 83, and then some left over at 81. We have a sharp decline in here that we could monitor in case we get a breakout, but we are very far from that. We are at 22. Have we been at 22 before? Yeah, just once, and recently on November 20, we were at 22. We were bouncing at the same level of RSI. So that could form a bullish divergence if we bounce off into resistance back again. If we go back into this resistance and we don't break out from that, we are probably going to face 132 now as a resistance. So that is potentially tradable because you got these declining levels of RSI. So in between RSI 22 and RSI 18, we're probably going to consume that liquidity. After consuming that, there is a potential for a revenge into 1.3. So that is something tradable. Of course, when I say tradable, is with risk management and assuming that it might go way deeper for some reason. But we have that alpha there that once we consume one or maybe up until 90 cents, and then it's enough to reach a new low on the RSI, then we can start pushing higher. If we defend the 22, that is a bullish divergence. But if we go into 18, that is not bullish divergence, but still is a low that last time gave a push of 55%. So if you go for consuming all of that, this is just 40, less than 55, but maybe just enough to test the previous level of support. As you know, that was support. We tested that. Now that is the new support lost. You go back and test that one too, with some likelihood, not fully guaranteed, of course. And we are way over the time. I'm gonna do just the last one, which is Dash. Right, so very important level of support in here. Slightly below it though. The 38. And momentum is breaking down. It doesn't look very strong, so I will focus on, I will personally focus on where are the next levels. Also because on the weekly, notice that Dash is still holding pretty decently in terms of weekly RSI. So in bear market, it has gone into 31. The lowest spin is, 31. And currently we're at 47. So there is a lot of headroom for downside when it comes to momentum. We are defending this, seems to be a local support, but it's being challenged. 38, 37. And let's see if we can find liquidity. Not here. Only 3 months back in time, so that is a constraint. But in the past 3 months, we put a double bottom in here at $36, and that created liquidity up until 33, 32. So that is potentially what the price is currently chasing. Unfortunately, we don't see beyond this point, so we don't know what's there. I can do some speculation on what's there. So you got that level there. That's the liquidity that we are facing to consume on Dash, the one formed by orders placed here, right? And if price comes here, that liquidates all of that. And beyond that point, you have probably here some massive fair value gaps. So probably the fair value gap is from here to here. So that means going fast with the price across that layer. And if you land into 23, then your liquidations are going to be here. Those are going to be interesting liquidations that definitely no one is tracking because no platform has those liquidations. So I'm giving them to you because I know where they place the liquidity. So there is liquidity there. Once that's gone, this there is not imbalance there. The imbalance is between 28 and 23. That is an area of fast speed. Then you get to the point of control at 23, which if it doesn't hold, then it goes and liquidates 16. That gives enough headroom for resetting the RSI, which for some reason Dash is still at a very high level of RSI, 47. You can see all the other coins, Solana, XRP, Ethereum, even BTC is now on a weekly, really low level of weekly RSI. So in a way that's strength, but it's breaking down. So it's pointing towards, let's look for what do we punish on the lower end at the moment. That's what's happening on Dash, I believe. Thanks so much for being in the live stream. I'm falling asleep. I'm half awake, half sleeping. It's like dreaming about doing a live stream at this point in time because I say I slept only 3 hours. parenting and TA is difficult. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Tune in next Thursday. Again, if you want to your coins secure every single Thursday or your assets reviewed, join the elite as a Patreon member. The link is in the description. And once a week, they land all in this poll that I share with them. And you're welcome to vote on them. Every week we create a new poll, obviously, and then you can place them there. We give you 5 hearts, so everybody votes for 5 things. You can add your own things, and those are secure in the live stream. But, you know, after I review those, I always go for the comments up until 1 hour. I'll see you on the next one. Take